A couple months ago, we filmed the Test Drive Spotlight episode on the 2018 Mazda CX-9 GT. Now, it quickly became one of the most popular Spotlight episodes we produced last year. However, it had an overwhelming number of downvotes in relation to upvotes. Now, nobody commented to tell us what the problem was with the video, so we've decided to take it upon ourselves to reshoot this. So we called up Mazda Canada and asked them if we could take a look at the 2018 Mazda CX-9 Signature. This is the top-end trim for this mid-size crossover SUV. So we're going to be showing you all the differences with this car and if it can compete with the likes of Infiniti, Acura, and Volvo in the premium crossover segment. The one thing that I've noticed with this car is the interior is phenomenal. Everything is just soft to the touch, well laid out, and they haven't loaded it up with things that you don't need. Sure, there might not be as many bells and whistles as the competing Infiniti or Acura, but this is the exact amount of things that you want, especially at this price point. I kind of feel that the CX-9 Signature is the best you can get without going into the premium market. And then if you go into the premium market, you're looking to be paying a lot more for some basic features like heated steering wheel, heated rear seats, sunshades, and navigation. The CX-9 really does have all those features at this price point. Now, the Signature adds quite a bit to this car that you wouldn't get on any other trim. For example, the nice wood here along the center console and the doors. This is actual real wood, and you can see that there's little imperfections throughout the entire wood trim because it is real. Unlike a lot of the cars that we look at, especially Mercedes and BMW, they put a lot of coating on it. They make it really shiny. It almost looks like plastic. But with this car, it really feels like you're sitting in an old wooden chair, crafted with elegance in order to get the most out of the wood contour and texture as possible. And I gotta say, it looks really nice here. You go find another CX-9, you take a look at the interior, they won't ever be the same because each piece is unique for this car. The rest of the interior is also very nice. So the 2018, you have LED lighting throughout. There's also a little LED mood light up at the top, so when you're driving at night, you have a little ambiance as you're driving along. Same thing with the Signature, there's an ambiance lighting underneath the wood trim in the center here. It's very subtle, but you do notice it, especially if you're getting in and out of the car. Now, other features with the CX-9 Signature, you do get LED lighting for the door handles in the front. So again, at night, it's easier for you to grab those handles and pull yourself out of the vehicle. And the rest of the car is finished in just one of the most gorgeous interior colors I think I've seen on a mid-sized car. You've got the same coloring throughout the dashboard and the Napa leather throughout the seats. And since it's a 3-row, all the seats have the same level of trim and quality put into them. And I gotta say, even the rear seats in the 3rd row are pretty comfortable to sit in. The design runs throughout the entire car. And I'd say the only thing that would be an upgrade if Mazda was listening and wanted to make some improvements, the brushed aluminum here in the center, it certainly looks nice, but I think if they added the wood to that as well, it would just add a little bit more class to this already really nice interior. Now, it wasn't our intention to be driving the Mazda CX-9 in the middle of a snowstorm, at least the tail end of it, but I really couldn't think of a better car to have to do this in. We actually drove this car in relatively nice weather for the last couple days, but it snowed a lot yesterday, and the roads are still covered in snow. And our driveway is full of snow, but this car really handles phenomenally well in this rough condition. It does have Blizzak tires on there. They grip incredibly well with the snow, and there's still 20-inch rims. There's still the rims that come with the Signature trim. So I know a lot of people in the CX-5 and CX-9 groups that we're part of, they do ask, can you put smaller tires for winter on this? And certainly you absolutely could. And realistically, it'd probably be a little bit better. Anyway, you're gonna have a little thicker tire, which would be better in the snow. But overall, the ride quality hasn't been degraded because of the snow tires on this car. It still feels very similar to the way that it was with the summer tires that we drove on the last CX-9. And ride quality is still fantastic. I gotta say, this is one of the most comfortable vehicles that I've driven in, not only from a seating perspective, it is very comfortable in the Napa leather seats that are on this car, but it's also very comfortable as a drive. There really is very little you feel with the road, and it handles incredibly well as well. Even in these conditions, it will kick out a little bit if you're at a stoplight and you make a left or right turn and you kind of kick the engine down a little bit. it'll kick out just a teeny tiny bit. But I gotta say that it handles incredibly well on the snow, handles incredibly well when it's dry, and it really is just a fantastic mid-size SUV to be able to drive in any weather condition. And it does say it's minus 19 right now. It feels like minus 32, and I can tell you that even the few minutes it took me just to clear off the snow was not super fun. But I come in here, I've got heated seats, heated steering wheel, everything warms up nice and quick, and I find that the automatic climate control works a lot better on the CX-9 because it does have a tri-zone system. So even though there's nobody in the back seats right now, you could have the back climate settings on if you wanted to, but you can just turn it off from here. And that way it kind of saves a little bit of the air. Since I'm the only person driving the car right now, what's the point of having the air going in to the back? You know, it's interesting, over the last 2 years, I've certainly had my eyes opened quite a bit by doing test drive. We spoke about it at the beginning of the driving segment when we bought our CX-5, that I really never considered Mazda to be a vehicle that I wanted to purchase, but after driving it, it really changed my mind, and so far we've driven a lot of their models, including the CX-9, and it just continues to show me that the biases that I've been holding on for so long for a lot of different car makers and things in general really are founded in nothing more than other people's opinions. Once you actually get to drive something on your own and figure out what it's all about without just reading things online or watching videos online, but being able to form your own opinions, then you really start to open your eyes to see the world in a different light. And I have to say that the CX-9 is one of those vehicles that, again, changes my perception of what I'm looking for in a car. I think that, you know, even though I own a BMW and the vehicle we said we wanted to buy the most in 2017 was a Mercedes-Benz, I feel like I'm kind of beyond that premium or luxury badge on the front of the car. I don't care what other people see that I'm driving, because that's really all it is when you buy something like a Mercedes or a BMW. Sure, you know, they are nice cars, they do drive in a certain way, and they have great luxuries and amenities, but really it's for you to say to the rest of the world, I drive a Mercedes-Benz. But when you're driving the Mazda CX-9, especially with the Signature trim, there's nothing on the outside that tells somebody that this is the most expensive version of this car. It's a humble mid-size SUV, and I have to say that even though it's not considered to be part of the premium segment, I think it really does compete with the Infiniti QX60, with the Buick Enclave, with the Volvo XC90. These are all premium mid-size crossover SUVs, and I think the Signature trim certainly can compete alongside them. But I still think that Mazda has a little way to go if they really want to be able to bring this car into the premium segment. If they want to make Mazda's Signature synonymous with the premium car market, they do need to do a little bit more. Like we mentioned, I would like to see maybe a little bit more wood instead of the brushed aluminum here. Other things too, ventilated seats. I know it's coming with the 2018 Mazda 6, so I would imagine that they're going to be bringing that over to the 2019 CX-9, but ventilated seats would be nice. A panoramic sunroof is featured on most vehicles now, and it's not something that's found here. But other than that, you don't really need much more else. I mean, the 360-degree camera on the Infiniti QX60 is really nice to have, and again, the Mazda 6 is going to have that, so it should be brought over to the next model year of the CX-9. But other than that, I mean, this is essentially the car that I need. Even though I don't like SUVs, I have really found myself to be the most comfortable when driving this CX-9. It's got the right amount of space for what I need. The third row is almost never going to be used. You might be able to see in the video, it's actually down right now. I don't think I'd ever need it, but there's those rare cases where you maybe have friends or family over, and instead of everybody taking two vehicles, you might be able to fit them all in one. So that is something you can do with the CX-9. And just overall, I gotta say that the interior is really, really nice. I think my favorite part is this wood trim. The fact that it really looks real. Like, most of the wood trim we see just looks so cheap, so fake. Yeah, it really just looks like somebody stuck it on and lathered it with lacquer and paint. And this just, it's just, because it's not shiny, it just looks really nice. And I think just a little bit more of that, especially adding it to the back seats, because this is a mid-size crossover, right? The driver is obviously an important element of this vehicle, but the backseat passengers should have those same luxuries as well. So I think they should have the wood trim along the door panels back there for the rear passengers, and just add little tiny things like that. It's just small things that, again, you know, you're not going to be looking through the spec sheet of this car and the Infiniti and the Buick and thinking, oh, you know, like it's got all of this. No. It's sitting in the car and actually looking at it in person and figuring out what it is you really need out of the vehicle. So I'm sitting in the middle now of the center row here. You've got your auto climate control settings in the middle. Both outboard passengers have heated seats, and it's full air conditioning back here, so you can set, whether it's automatic or not, the fan speed and temperature all from back here. And I mean, if you're an adult, it's at a good reach there to be able to get to all the controls without having to go too far. But a lot of people, I think, are going to be buying this mid-size crossover as a replacement for the minivan. People aren't buying minivans anymore, and they're going with the crossover. So it's a good place to have a family. And we have our 4-year-old here, Poppy. So what do you think? Is there enough space back here for you?
Yes.
Yeah, you like it?
Yes, I do.
What do you like about the CX-9?
I like about the introduction.
The introduction?
Yeah.
What else do you like about it?
Like, driving around.
Wow, driving around, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, because it's always like awesome to drive.
And I'm sitting in the very back here, basically the trunk of the CX-9, and I do fit. The seat is about maybe 4 inches further forward than it normally is, but there is still a lot of good space for the middle passengers, even if you have an adult in the center, and then for some reason you have an adult in the back. Now normally you're probably not going to be putting the biggest person you have in the back of the vehicle, but we're just doing this as an example here. And I got to say that it isn't the least comfortable experience I've had in my life. I mean, the headroom is pretty tight, and my hair is getting caught on these little nipples in the ceiling here. I don't know what their function really is, but kind of at the limit of being able to sit back here. But I am 6 foot tall, so you're again not going to be putting somebody of my size back here. But if you have maybe teenage kids or smaller adults, then they can certainly fit back here without too much issue. And I got to say that the ride comfort is still pretty comparable as if you were in the front seat. I mean, I pretty much am on the wheels here at the back, so much like riding in a school bus, you're going to feel a little bit more, but I got to say it's not too bad even sitting back here. The middle seats were pretty comfortable, the ride was pretty good, but you do kind of feel like you're much further from the action sitting back here than you would be if you were in the center or obviously driving it. But I think that most people who are going to be buying the CX-9, since it is one of the few that only comes as a 3-row, a lot of the mid-size SUVs can be configured with or without that 3rd row, or even with 6-passenger or 8-passenger configurability. There's only 7 available on this, and I got to say that if you've got a bigger family and you need to have that extra space, then I think that you'd be good. I think that you could fit people back here without too much complaints. I don't know if I'd want to be doing this maybe on a road trip from here to Toronto, but I do fit, and it is good enough for a 3rd row. Thanks for watching this episode of Test Drive Spotlight on the 2018 Mazda CX-9 Signature. As always, your support helps make this show possible, so if you enjoyed it, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you have any questions about this car or anything else that we do here, please leave a comment below, or you can email me directly, niall@perpetualradio.ca, or follow us on Facebook and Twitter @perpetualradio to see what else we're doing. Now I know we did things a little bit differently with this video, and I hope you guys like it, so please also let us know, did you prefer this format, or would you rather we stick with a more scripted narration of the car? If you want more information about the CX-9 in general, you can also watch our previous episode of Test Drive Spotlight on the 2018 CX-9 GT. Until next time, thanks for watching, and take care.